To be or not to be, that is the question we're asking tonight of the Bristol Old Vic, celebrating its 250th birthday. And we're all paying for the theatre out of our taxes, whether we like it or not. So is it worth it? We asked Junior Saunders, who once trod the boards himself, to find out.
The Bristol Old Vic, 250 years old. 7.5 million people have come to see shows here over its lifetime. Their latest, Jane Eyre, has been drawing in the crowds with an average ticket price of about £20.
But that isn't everybody's idea of a great night out. For the same price, you could be
At the Rovers, or see, having a great day and a half at the zoo, or just oddly bouncing around for a couple of hours. Our theatre costs £3.6 million a year to run, with over £250,000 coming out of our council taxes. That's only about £1.50 for every taxpayer, but it all adds up to about a third of the city's whole arts budget.
I feel as though I've got a stake in this place, but the question is, what has the Old Vic really done for us?
Like many Bristolians, I don't come here very often at all. It feels like theatre's just for the arty, rich elite. But if that's the case, how has it survived all this time?
The history of this theatre is really a 250-year love affair between this building and the city of Bristol, which, like any love affair that goes on for 250 years.
That's a long time.
It's had some big rows, some real fallings out, some difficult standoffs and everything. But essentially, the theatre has survived because time and again, when it's got into trouble, the city has stood up and said, we love this theatre, we want it. That happened in 2007. There were apparently 600 people, which is as many as you could possibly get in here these days, rammed in here for a meeting when there was a danger the theatre was going to collapse. People from Bristol saying, no, it must not happen.
It is the most wonderful theatre.
This historic jewel of an auditorium.
I love this building. It's the most beautiful theatre to play.
Okay, so our theatre is a great building, but it takes more than bums on seats to keep the doors open.
We're a subsidised theatre, so we get, our biggest subsidy comes from the Arts Council nationally. We also get some money from the city, but more than half of our money we raise by selling tickets. The Hippodrome, for example, very successful commercial theatre in Bristol, survives by inviting in touring commercial work. We make the work here, which is a fantastic privilege for us. We spend our money, which is your money, as a Bristol taxpayer or a national taxpayer, on two things. The first is it allows us to experiment a little bit in the work. So we're not making purely commercial work. We're allowed to take risks, and that allows new kinds of theatre to develop. It allows really interesting work to happen. And also it allows us to give real opportunity to artists in Bristol. The second thing, which is very, very important, is that as a subsidised theatre, we've got a responsibility that we take very seriously to offer an invitation to everyone from every part of the city to engage in our programme. And as well as that, and very importantly, it means that our ticket prices are much lower than they would be if we were a commercial theatre.
The Old Vic's committed to taking their brand of theatre to people and places which don't normally have access to the arts. This outreach work has even ventured into perhaps the last place you'd expect theatre to thrive. Joe spent 11 months at Ashfield Young Offenders Institute.
I'd go out and see my friends and just hang out on the estate. We'd be bored, or sometimes, we'd want money to just buy clothes and stuff like that. But how are we going to get money? Just doing petty crimes and all sorts of stupidness.
His time behind bars was made bearable by the drama sessions with Outreach. So much so that he turned his life around and now goes to drama school.
At school, drama was the main subject, which I loved and I give my all. But as I say, the streets and being on the estate, that would take up most of my life. And if the Outreach hadn't come in and just made me realise that I loved it so much, then I don't know what would happen.
Really good.
The outreach team also visits 6 schools across the city.
Excellent.
Today, they're working with pupils in Norwell on their next show. It's huge fun, but is it the best use of our taxes?
This kind of work is absolutely essential at this age, getting in this early to teach children about ways about expressing themselves and being confident and being able to walk into a room and mastering their own kind of physical bodies, their voices.
Let's go! Ha! Ha! Ha!
It makes you feel a bit special because you're doing acting like Geek 17.
I like acting a lot since I was shy since to go on stage before, but I'm not anymore.
You shy? No chance. I didn't have that sort of thing growing up. I always thought theatre was just not for the likes of me. But then I got a part in a play called Looking for Obama, which was set in Bristol and performed right here.
Looking for Obama was a risk for the Bristol Old Vic, and they actually took a risk on me because I've never done conventional theatre before in my life. And I think what it gave me on reflection was really, really powerful. It was actually about that sense of fulfillment and sense of purpose and being able to look ahead and say there are things that I could actually do.
And that's the kind of risk-taking that the Old Vic does. The Ferment team discovers and supports new artists who would otherwise struggle to be heard.
Nice song, eh?
I don't believe in elitism of art. You know, I know, it makes me laugh when I say things like that. But I believe in that we're all creative at our hearts. It sounds, you know, a little woolly, but I do. And I think that this place and the people who work here are really committed to keeping the doors open, to having people come in, to being able to sit and listen to people. And also when there is a fascinating story beautifully told, is that we can then do something with it here and share it with the wider city. We really contribute to the national economy financially as well. If you think about people coming to this theatre, need somewhere to drink, they need a hotel to stay in, it bleeds out. So I think it's an investment.
In many ways, the Old Vic is a huge success. 116,000 people saw shows last year, paying as little as £7.50. It's committed to making the theatre appeal to everyone. And later this year, they're starting a £12.5 million refurbishment to make the most of the building and its unique history. But it will always need to be subsidised.
This theatre, it's a precious thing. It's cherished nationally and internationally, but it's really for the people of Bristol. So we're doing whatever we can to open that invitation out so people can enjoy it.
So with hard work, dedication, and a few more of these, the Bristol Old Vic may be around for the next 250 years.